You really have to ask yourself what is going on in that office, and then obviously they're prosecuting R. Kelly also in that same office, and you got to wonder about the health of that prosecution as well.
Yeah, I mean, it just sort of boggles the mind. I mean, in the statement to the media and to the public, Jussie Smollett's lawyers say this entire situation is a reminder that there should never be an attempt to prove a case in the court of public opinion. But this wasn't trying to be proved in a court of public opinion. It was going to be proved in a court of law. He'd been charged with some 16 counts of felony counts of filing a false police report. He was facing 48 years, up to 48 years behind bars. If they were going to bring those number of charges, those felony counts against Jussie Smollett, would you not, if you're a prosecutor, you are a former prosecutor, if you knew, what would it take for you to bring those charges?
On a case like this with a public figure such as Smollett, I mean, you've got to have all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted before you bring a case like this. And the fact that in such a dramatic turnaround, you went from this huge press conference criticizing this man and having him surrender, having his reputation completely destroyed, to now dropping the case in a matter of 2 months, in less than 2 months. It's embarrassing. And you've got to wonder, again, what are they doing over there? Because, you'd never bring a case like this against such a public figure unless you have everything ready to go, meaning like you better be 100% sure you've locked all your witnesses into the correct testimony. You've gotten all the forensic evidence you need to go, because there's no rush, right? So if initially they dropped they investigated those two Nigerian people, and there were all the jokes going on about how Jussie Smollett was the first American to swindle a couple of Nigerians. I mean, they're
actually. I mean, I think they're of Nigerian descent, but they're Americans. They were born here in the United States.
I know, but I'm just speaking about all the memes that you saw on the internet with this case. It really was a big deal when they went from looking at these two guys to then looking at Jussie Smollett, and then to actually have him arrested. And now, in less than 2 months dismissing this case, I mean, it just shows you that they're not running a tight ship over there. And I think this should, if anybody should be smiling right now, it should be R. Kelly.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing I don't understand, I think a lot of people are going to be scratching their heads to understand, is the judge is sealing the case, and the actor is agreeing to pay $10,000 in bond forfeiture, which, again, for all the work that the police in Chicago did to try and figure out what exactly happened on that night back in January 29th at 2 o'clock in the morning or so in downtown Chicago, it doesn't seem like a large amount of money to pay even the city back for the expenses of the police investigation.
I mean, at this point, if they're dropping charges, Jussie Smollett should not be paying anything. So I'm not even fully understanding that, and obviously more details.
So that doesn't even make that, even that is sort of unclear as to why that's happening, right? So you're saying essentially if he's innocent and they're dropping charges, or at least they can't prove anything against him, why is he even agreeing to pay anything?
100%. I mean, he should be. I mean, at this point, here's the interesting thing: he's going to be looking at a major. He's going to have, if he's got the right personal injury attorney, he's going to be having a field day suing this office.
You think that he could turn around and sue the police, the prosecutors, or?
I would think so. I mean, I would. I imagine that they would not want to have this case go to court.
Well, so
he's going to have a massive, settlement against the Chicago State's Attorney's Office.
Yeah, I mean, the lawyers in a statement said that he's relieved. Jussie is relieved to have this situation behind him. and is very much looking forward to getting back to focusing on his family, friends, and career. If he chose not to sue, what would be next? He would just go on living his life.
Yeah, I mean, look, he has the right. I mean, again, at this point, he should be, keeping all options open. And I imagine, he wants to move on. But if they've now determined the office that, which they have, that it doesn't warrant charges, he's going to have a nice payday. I imagine he has spent a fortune in a very short amount of time on his legal bills. So he's probably going to want to recoup some of that.
You mentioned the two brothers, the Osundario brothers. They were working with prosecutors. They were talking to them. They had spoken to the police about what exactly happened on the night of January 29th, what their involvement in whatever the incident was. Do you think that there's a possibility that they may have stopped talking? I mean, I don't know. What happens if you stop talking to the DAs, or can you rescind your testimony, your charges?
You can, but now you've opened yourself up to prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's basically you're looking at, basically an obstruction type charge, maybe even a contempt type charge, because, if they've given sworn testimony and now they've recanted, well, then that's going to be, they're just opening themselves up to further prosecution. But at this point, I'm not sure the State's Attorney's Office in Chicago should be prosecuting anyone. I mean, I've not seen anything like this where you go that quickly from holding a press conference the way that they did to then dropping cases in less than 2 months. I mean, it's stunning.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's so. I'm looking here, and again, this is reporting that is coming to through various sources. We still don't have anything from the Cook County prosecutors about why they're dismissing these charges against Jussie Smollett. And again, why they're even asking him to pay $10,000 in bond forfeiture. But there are reports out there that it was due in part to Jussie Smollett's volunteer service in the community. I'm looking at that on various news websites that suggest that he may have been volunteering in the community. I mean, but that wouldn't be enough to get felony charges dropped against you, would it?
I would think that would have been, if he's been working nonstop since that point, putting in 100 hours a week, maybe, but I doubt it. There has to be something else going on. And look, there is one other possibility, potential scenario where something came up in the evidence between him and them, and for whatever reason they're not going to move forward, and it may be that they have other stuff on him and he has stuff on them, and everyone's choosing to just leave and let bygones be bygones. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. It'll be very interesting to see whether he does pursue a civil suit against them. But in any event, no matter what, this is a serious black eye on the Chicago State's Attorney's Office.
So you mentioned earlier, Vinu, that you mentioned R. Kelly, because this is the same prosecutors that are prosecuting the R. Kelly case. Why did you draw that analogy?
Because that's a very, in my view, that's a very suspicious prosecution. In many ways, more than Jussie Smollett, because that prosecutor, Kim Foxx, went out there and publicly sought complainants to come forward after the documentary was released. So, I commented on not with you, but one of your co-hosts. I was in studio when the night that R. Kelly surrendered himself, and I said to one of your co-hosts that how is it that you have this prosecution that you've sought out, where you go out and you watch a documentary, and then you say please come forward, and anybody and everyone, and then what I said was, if I were his defense attorney, I'd be excited about the prospect of defending him. because you can easily say that this is a manufactured prosecution. Where were all these people, 15 years ago, when these acts were supposed to have occurred? So, I mean, this is, again, as I said, if I'm R. Kelly's lawyer, I'm smiling right now.
Well, I just want to, Charlie DeMar, who is a reporter at our Chicago station, WBBM, is reporting that Chicago Police Superintendent Johnson is furious. That's a quote, furious, because he had no heads up that this was going to happen. And it did seem when Superintendent Johnson gave a press conference a few weeks ago, he was very emotional about this and sort of laid out what the police thought had happened and why they thought Jussie Smollett, in their words, allegedly had fabricated this attack. Vinu, stand by. I want to bring in our CBS News legal analyst, Ricky Kleeman. She's joining me on the telephone now as well. So, Ricky, this is sort of astounding. I think people are trying to digest this news, and we're not really, it's very hard for, I think, regular folks like us who are just watching this play out in Chicago to understand what's going on here. As you know, Jussie Smollett had some 16 felony counts against him for disorderly conduct. The prosecution seemed to be very confident. The police was very confident as to the allegations as to what may have transpired on January 29th. And now today, all charges against Jussie Smollett suddenly drop without any explanation at all, and the judge sealing the case.
It's shocking, I think. And the fact that the police superintendent had not been informed is even more shocking. The real problem, Vlad, is we don't know the backstory. We only know what Jussie Smollett's lawyer has put out and what the prosecutor has put out as information. So we don't know, did they drop the case because they thought that the case really was not warranted at all? Did they think they couldn't prove it at a later date beyond a reasonable doubt? Or did they think that no judge was going to give him more than a $10,000 fine, and they decided they would take the $10,000 bail money as forfeited and that they would just end it? It's just very surprising because we don't know anything behind it. Is he really innocent, or is it something else that they felt they couldn't prove it? Or, as I say, did they feel they wouldn't get a better disposition? But it also sounds like it was an emergency hearing, like it wasn't a scheduled hearing. And just coincidentally, his lawyer is Mark Geragos, and Mark Geragos, of course, is in the news here yesterday as the co-conspirator number one in the Michael Avenatti case. So curious is my word. I think that we'll probably be digging for much more information, and I don't think we've heard the last from Superintendent Eddie Johnson.
No, because it is reported, Ricky, that because of the fact that, according to our station WBBM, Superintendent Johnson was furious, that's a quote, that he had no idea that this was going to happen. Reportedly, they are reaching out to the Attorney General to investigate the Cook County State Attorney Kim Foxx, because you'll recall she recused herself over some kind of contact that she had had with a member of Jussie Smollett's family in just the hours after the attack. And so if the police asks the Attorney General to look into this case, first of all, can they do that? And what would happen if the AG does look into this?
Well, I don't know what the mechanism is in Cook County, Illinois, that is Chicago, in terms of asking the AG for review. But certainly in other places around the country, when there is some question of prosecutorial misconduct or impropriety, that usually these types of things would go to the state attorney general. So that may be the logical next step. Whether or not the attorney general accepts that request on behalf of Superintendent Johnson and the Chicago police remains to be seen. But the whole thing is very peculiar, and it just is not done this way in the regular course of business. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a further investigation.
You know, the $10,000 bond that he is forfeiting, Mr. Smollett, I mean, I guess to me, and Vinu Varghese pointed this out earlier when we were chatting with him, if the charges are suddenly being dropped without explanation, and that he is, I guess, you know, as far as the eyes of the law are concerned, an innocent man, he can go on living his life. Why, first of all, have to pay that at all? And I know that the police are just doing their jobs in investigating this, but you're talking about a lot of man hours, a lot of investigators and detectives and police officers trying to understand exactly what happened on the night of January 29th. You would think that the judge would at least want, I mean, I don't know how it works, but it just seems to me that if all charges are being dropped, you shouldn't have to pay anything. But if you're going to make them pay something, it should maybe be more than $10,000.
Well, I totally agree with you. If the charges are dropped because
stand by for a second, Ricky. Here comes
Sure.
Jussie Smollett. I don't know if he's approaching. Let's see. We might hear from him here.
Good afternoon. Today. Good afternoon. Today, as you have figured out, the state made a motion to nollie pros the charges against Jussie Smollett and to seal the record in this case. We believe that it was the correct result in this case. We're very happy for this result, and we are very anxious for Jussie to get on with his career and his life and to move forward. I'll take any questions.
Was this part of a deferred prosecution?
This is not, there is no deferred prosecution. The motion was to nollie pros, which is a legal technical term for dismiss the charges.
Why did he give up bond money?
Jussie voluntarily agreed to the forfeiture of the bond money.
So is this
We believe to the city of Chicago, but we don't know.
is this a deal or not a deal if he's giving up his bond?
There is no deal. The state dismissed the charges. There's nothing.
Part of the agreement?
Part-
Yeah, I can hear you.
We have nothing to say to the police department except to investigate charges and not try their cases in the press, but to allow matters to be investigated, allow the state to investigate and to bring charges, and not to jump ahead and utilize the press to convict people before they are tried in a court of law.
Are you going to seek legal recourse for the city? Are you going to seek legal recourse to the city or the two brothers?
Next question.
You won't say whether you'll seek recourse? Nothing answer that?
Do you think that the city put a lot of attention on Mr. Smollett because of the pressure that was coming from not just here in Chicago, but with all the attention nationwide? Because of the pressure.
I have no idea what occurred in this case and why it occurred. I can just say that things seem to spiral somewhat out of control. We've gotten to a result that is the right result in this case, and we're happy for that.
And what does this have to do with the interviews with the Alleging?
I have no idea what.
Will the police department forfeit their bond money to the city to do community service? Any idea why the state's attorney
Plenty of people forfeit their bond in situations like this. Jussie is, and as if you were in the courtroom, heard the prosecutor say, and we made sure that the prosecution knew. He is someone who has dedicated his life to public service since he was 15 years old. He has taken the city of Chicago as his home. He has volunteered in a variety of ways. He is a good, solid citizen of the city of Chicago. That was the comment made by the prosecutor today.
I think John said twice on camera that Jussie Smollett paid the Osundaro brothers $3,500 to carry out this hoax. What is your response to that?
And the Ondero brothers said more than once that the $3,500 check they received was for exactly what Jussie said. It was for nutrition and training. They were his trainers. That statement was not true.
The superintendent gave false information.
I don't know where the superintendent got that information. I was not privy to it, and quite frankly have not seen that footage. So I have no idea where that came from, which is why you should allow investigation and allow the state to investigate a charge before you go to the press.
There obviously will still be a lot of questions about this.
I have no idea I don't have information that the state would have as to why they brought these charges. I don't know.
Are you still
You'd have to
calling
ask
for
the
this
state.
case to be investigated to find the two men who Mr. Smollett says attacked him?
The two men who attacked him have indicated that they attacked him. So we already know who attacked him. Those brothers have, well, that's up to the state.
To be clear, the $10,000 is that a condition of dropping the charges, forfeiting that money?
No.
The two men who attacked my brothers, why are you doing it?
Well, the two brothers have said that they attacked him. So,
If he's a victim,
we don't want to try them in the press any more than he wanted to be tried in the press.
Why was the decision made to forfeit the bond to the city?
That decision was made so that he could go on with his life and get this over with and not have to fight and not have to continue with all of the disruption to his career. He is a very sweet individual who has for a lifetime dedicated himself to his career, to the public, to children, to the movement in the LGBTQIA community. And this was a disruption to that. He wants to get back to it. I'll allow you to hear from him briefly, and then we're gone.
Hey, everybody. I just made a couple notes. First of all, I want to thank my family, my friends, the incredible people of Chicago and all over the country and the world who have prayed for me, who have supported me, who have shown me so much love. No one will ever know how much that has meant to me, and I will forever be grateful. I want you to know that not for a moment was it in vain. I've been truthful and consistent on every single level since day one. I would not be my mother's son if I was capable of one drop of what I have been accused of. This has been an incredibly difficult time, honestly one of the worst of my entire life. But I am a man of faith, and I'm a man that has knowledge of my history, and I would not bring my family, our lives, or the movement through a fire like this. I just wouldn't. So I want to thank my legal counsel from the bottom of my heart. And I would also like to thank the state of Illinois for attempting to do what's right. Now I'd like nothing more than to just get back to work and move on with my life. But make no mistakes, I will always continue to fight for the justice, equality, and betterment of marginalized people everywhere. So again, thank you for all the support, thank you for faith, and thank you to God. Bless y'all, thank you very much.
Jussie, are your attackers still out there?
All right, Jussie Smollett there making a brief appearance to sort of give a couple of words to the press there. But you heard for quite a moment his attorney, Patricia Brown Holmes, answering questions from the press. Let's go back to CBS News analyst Ricky Kleeman. She's joining me on the phone. Ricky, so let me just get your take first on what you heard from Attorney Holmes.
What is interesting to me out of that are two comments she made. One is that, as she phrased it, the prosecution filed a nollie pros, or as I would call it in Massachusetts when I practice, a null pros. But what that means is a decision on the part of the prosecution to not go forward with the case. It does not mean that we know the reasons for that decision. It is simply a decision a prosecutor has made. There are a variety of reasons, including innocence, but also including the fact that perhaps someone believes as a prosecutor that they can't prove the case, whether or not there's innocence or not. The second thing that she said, which I did find interesting, is that it is not unusual to forfeit the $10,000 bond to the city of Chicago or the state of Illinois. That's just unusual to me. I have never heard of that before. I think, you need a Chicago lawyer to find out how often that happens. But the difficulty, which will be for the public, is exactly the difficulty that I'm struggling with, which is if he really is innocent, if that's what the prosecution believes, then I wish they would come out with a statement and say that. Because we're left in this limbo that we'd like to give him back as a society the presumption of innocence since the charges have been dropped, and that he's entitled to that. And at the same time, you really wonder, well, if he is innocent, then why aren't the brothers then being prosecuted for lying? because somebody here was lying. So it's just very troubling to me without knowing the backstory. And in addition, it continues to be troubling to me because police knew nothing about dropping the case. If he is 100% innocent, I wish him well, and I hope that he can pick up his life and continue to be productive. And if it's something else, then it makes us all wonder what the system is doing.
Vinu Varghese, you were a prosecutor at one point. Why aren't the brothers being prosecuted? The attorney there for Jussie Smollett saying that it is clear the brothers admitted that they're the ones who beat him up.
This is a mystery that I wish I could give you a good answer for. We'll have to wait and see what these people are going to say. I just go back to the point of you don't bring a prosecution. You should never bring a prosecution that you're not sure that you can take all the way to trial and convict beyond a reasonable doubt. That should be the standard, but that's not the standard for most prosecutors. Most prosecutors, they operate, you know what, there's enough charges, probable cause, we'll bring the case, we'll worry about it later. In this situation, when you have a public figure like him and all the hoopla that surrounded the attack, particularly saying that it was a Trump supporter and all of that, you have to be extremely careful about how you proceed. And then to charge him and in less than 2 months drop the case, it really is, it's just amazing. I mean, not in a positive way. It's really just, I'll just use the other way. It's just awful. We're
looking at some live pictures here as Jussie Smollett is departing the courtroom there in Chicago. We'll soon be talking to our Adriana Diaz, who's covering the story for us for the network. Ricky, to you now. The lawyers, when they released the statement, in the statement, this was right before they appeared before the cameras there, they say in the statement, this entire situation is a reminder that there should never be an attempt to prove a case in the court of public opinion. That is wrong. Soon after that statement was released, we heard from Jussie Smollett himself, where he says that he has been consistent and truthful from the very beginning, that he's been a champion for marginalized people, and that nothing that he has said or done has been untruthful. So is this a situation where prosecutors are just getting ahead of themselves and they are reacting to the court of public opinion? And if that is the case, then certainly I think that some higher legal authorities should be investigating what's going on in the Cook County Prosecutor's Office. Is that your assessment?
Well, as I say, he's either 100% innocent and that this was appropriate, or on the other side of that, the police firmly believe that they have spent untold man-hours on this case, as well as the FBI having been involved at some point dealing with an earlier alleged threat, and that they went forward and that they did it, they believe, by the numbers, and meaning that they did it ethically and properly. And the fact of that Superintendent Johnson had made statements in the press, perhaps some people will say that was inappropriate, but he really has an issue as the superintendent of police in Chicago of dealing with the issues of race in that city, and he really felt strongly that this quote-unquote false accusation at the time was something that was hurting relationships in the city of Chicago. So perhaps Eddie Johnson should not have said that, though one understands why he did. But you can understand of the prosecution, I can't even imagine dropping a case of this magnitude after this much investigation with nary a word to the police department.
Yeah.
I mean, I find that astounding.
It is sort of astounding, Ricky. And look, as we've been saying, and Jussie Smollett himself just said that he says he's been truthful, but something happened that night. Something happened on the night of January 29th. Jussie Smollett, originally, it was reported, said that he was attacked by people who said that this is MAGA country, and there are a whole host of allegations that were made in the early days of this investigation. Now, You heard the attorney there for Jussie Smollett, Ms. Holmes, say that the two brothers did, in fact, attack him. I'm just curious as to why they would be the ones to say this is MAGA country. There's a lot of unanswered questions. Ricky, just stand by. I want to get to Adriana Diaz, who was there in the courtroom. She's been covering this story from the very beginning. Adriana, I don't know if you've been listening to what Ricky and Vinu Varghese have been telling us, but I know you were just there. Are you hearing at all anything or expecting to hear anything from the Cook County prosecutors as to what is going on down there in Chicago?
We have heard very little from prosecutors, Vlad, and that's the big question here. Everyone's trying to figure out why were these charges dropped when the prosecutor really doubled down on Smollett just a few weeks ago, upping his charges from 1 charge to 16. They really threw the book at him. And, you know, I remember when this happened because we were poring over the paperwork that came in late in the day where there were 16 charges against Smollett, one essentially for every claim that he made that they were saying was false at the time. And now the charges were dropped after this emergency hearing here this morning. Smollett was just here. He walked out. He contends that he did nothing wrong, that there's no way he could have done this. He thanked his friends, his family. So the question really is, what changed? What changed in the past couple of weeks where the prosecutors were really upping the ante, putting pressure on him, adding charges, and now all those charges are dropped. So we're trying to figure that out. What we did hear from the state's attorney's office, they released a statement. You may have read it earlier, but in part it says after reviewing all the facts and circumstances of the case, including Mr. Smollett's volunteer service in the community, it goes on to say that we believe this outcome is a just disposition and appropriate resolution in the case. So they're saying they're weighing the facts with the evidence, with his past volunteer service, but that doesn't connect the dots with why they were charging him with all of these charges in the first place and why those charges, for some reason, no longer hold up.
You know, it's that. I think that's the story, Adriana. Nobody seems to know what's going on there. So here's another question for you, and you may not know this because this is just sort of happening over the course of the last hour. You heard Ms. Holmes, the attorney for Jussie Smollett, say that the Osundario brothers did in fact attack Jussie Smollett. We've had the Osundario brothers on our air here at CBS News. I know you've spoken to her, Gloria Schmidt. Where are those brothers now?
We don't know where those brothers are now. And as you said, yes, Smollett's attorney said the brothers said they did this. We believe they did this. So they are still saying there was an attack. The brothers were involved in the attack. But we don't know where those brothers are. Those brothers at one point appeared to be key witnesses here, giving their side of the story to police and to prosecutors, explaining that, you know, they were paid to do this by Smollett himself. So the brothers are really key people that we're going to want to talk to, and people are going to want to figure out if their story changed and what their role was.
Adriana Diaz, you are there in Chicago covering this story for us. We thank you for, running over to the camera position to have a chat with us about this because this is sort of astounding news. I know you'll have a lot more on CBSN later tonight on the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor, and of course tomorrow on CBS This Morning. Thanks, Adriana.
Thanks, Vlad.
Ricky, real quick before we let you go. So given that something transpired that day, where does this, I just think that a lot of people are going to be scratching their heads and saying, if there was an attack on Jussie Smollett and he says he's been truthful and consistent, then shouldn't police be going after whoever attacked him? And shouldn't the prosecutors, at least before they decide to do this and make it worldwide news for the next couple of hours, say, look, we're dropping charges against Jussie Smollett, but we are bringing charges against these other individuals?
Of course. You're exactly correct, because that's the missing link. If Jussie Smollett is innocent, therefore he did not file a false police report, then the brothers must be guilty. Either of doing the attack, period, or of lying to the police about it. So, because they say they were paid to do it, it was staged, they presented the check, which was obviously fodder for debate during the press conference. Because this press conference and this null pros, this decision not to prosecute Jussie Smollett, would let the two brothers know, would put them on notice that they would flee I mean, it's like saying, well, we were letting Jussie Smollett go free, so obviously we have to do something about the brothers. So the logical thing to have done would have been to have used the police, and if you didn't want to use the police, to have used another law enforcement agency, and to have arrested and charged the brothers with something. That's why we're all scratching our heads here. I find this one of the most remarkable hours I can remember in terms of the criminal justice system.
No, it really is. And I mean, and when I suspect, I mean, I don't know other than what the lawyers are saying, the lawyers for Jussie Smollett and the lawyers for the Osundario brothers, but that $3,500 check, I think, is part of the key to all of this, because according to the check that we've seen, it does say in the sort of the memo area that it's for a nutritional workout program, and that's what his attorney for Jussie Smollett said now to the press, that it was for nutritional supplements. And the police, it was Superintendent Johnson who did say that the check was for what ultimately was this attack, this payment for an attack. So there are a lot of questions there.
And the superintendent did not make up that fact. The brothers had to have told the police that.
Right.
I mean, so somebody is not telling the truth. And where are the brothers? That's your question for Adriana, and that's the question for all of us. Where are the brothers? Why haven't they been charged if Jussie Smollett has been let go?
Fascinating day there in Chicago, and having you, Ricky, along with you, Vinu Varghese, to sort of pull us along and help us to make clarity of a very difficult and hazy situation I wouldn't be able to do by myself. I appreciate it, as always, to the both of you. Thank you very much. And to Adriana Diaz, who's covering this story for us. Really remarkable day in Chicago. Thank you all. We're going to take a quick break as we continue to dig into this story. It is really a remarkable day, and there's a lot of other things happening in the world as well. Hundreds of people have died in southern Africa and Mozambique due to cyclones. We're following what's happening in Israel with the rocket attacks that have been launched in Tel Aviv. The Israelis responding. Also on Capitol Hill, the Green New Deal. People out there protesting along with Democratic senators. And you've got the Mueller report. Democrats are clamoring for the full report to be released. So a lot more news. Stick around. We'll be right back.